You know, in our work, in our lives, we talk about love a lot, often as this big idea, an intention, or a value we hold. But today, we're going to look at it from a completely different angle. What if love isn't a claim we make, but the actual, tangible reality we create for other people? What if it's an experience that can actually be measured?
I think we've all been there, right? You share that something hurt you, and the response you get is, "But I didn't mean to. I had good intentions." That gap, that moment where your lived reality gets dismissed by someone else's claim, that's a critical point where trust just starts to fall apart. And it's not just a one-off thing, it points to a much deeper pattern.
And this pattern actually has a name. Think of it like a hidden operating system running in the background of our relationships, our communities, even our organizations. It's called proof culture. And it's what happens when our need to be right becomes more important than our ability to stay connected.
So that brings us to our first big idea here, the performance trap. It's this simple. The second that love becomes something you feel like you have to prove, it isn't really love anymore. It's a performance. And performance, well, it's not about creating safety. It's about maintaining control.
So let's get really clear on what we mean by proof culture. It's any system, a family, a company, a community, where your sense of belonging is handed out based on how well you perform, the title you have, or whether you believe the right things. In a system like this, safety isn't something that's earned through consistent, trustworthy actions. It's something that's demanded based on a label. Okay, so this sets up this central contrast for us today. We're really looking at two totally different ways of relating to each other, two different relational operating systems. One is based on proof, and the other is based on alignment.
Let's just look at how differently these two systems play out. The proof-based system is all about control. It says, believe me because of my title. It puts intention above your actual experience. And boundaries? Well, they can feel like disobedience. On the other hand, the alignment-based system is all about human safety. It says, measure me by my impact. Your experience is what matters most. Consent is sacred. And when harm happens, because it will, repair is just seen as a normal, necessary part of love.
And this brings us to the absolute core principle here. You cannot prove love. It's impossible. You can't prove it with a declaration or a title or a really good argument. The only thing you can do is align your actions with your intention over and over again until the other person's experience of you becomes the evidence. Now, think about the implications of that. Take any sacred text or a company's mission statement or a leadership role. When it's used to guide us toward connection, to help us align, it's a beautiful thing. But the moment it gets used to prove that we're right and someone else is wrong, its whole function flips. It stops being a tool for safety and can actually become an instrument of harm, a wound. Okay, so if love isn't a claim, how do we measure it? How do we know it's real? The most reliable metric we have is simply the lived experience of the people in our presence, the reality our presence creates for them. That's the metric of experience. And the goal of all this alignment work is what we call human safety. And this isn't some abstract concept. It's a physiological reality. It's the ability for someone's nervous system to actually stay calm and regulated when they're around you, because they've learned through experience that their truth is welcome, their boundaries are respected, and their no is safe.
So here are some really practical diagnostic questions, and these are not rhetorical. Do people genuinely have the freedom to grow and change when they're around you? Can someone say no to you without fear of being punished or pressured? When you cause harm, do you actually repair it, or do you just try to explain it away with some fancy language? The answers to these questions, they reveal the truth of your impact. Understanding all of this is one thing, but actually living it out is something else entirely. So let's shift from the what to the how. Let's talk about the practical path of alignment.
Building trust through alignment isn't random. It follows a clear, repeatable sequence. It starts with our intention, of course, but that intention has to be turned into an action. But it doesn't stop there. We have to be willing to see the actual impact of our action. And then, and this is crucial, be open to feedback about it. If there's a gap between our intention and the impact, we move to repair. And it's only through the consistency of doing this whole loop again and again that real trust gets built. If you skip any of these steps, love just goes right back to being an empty claim.
And the good news is, this doesn't have to be some huge, complicated thing. We can start with really simple, powerful micro-practices. For example, before you jump in to help someone, just ask a consent check. Do you want support right now, or do you just want to be heard? When you mess up, try the impact sentence. My intention was X, but I hear the impact on you is Y. I'm taking that seriously. These small, repeatable actions are the building blocks of a culture of real human safety.
So, this path of alignment is ultimately a journey. It's a movement from making a claim to creating a reality. It's about shifting from performing an identity to truly embodying a presence that protects the dignity and humanity of the people around us.
And really, it all comes down to this. If our presence costs another person their freedom, if it makes them feel like they have to shrink or be quiet or give up a piece of themselves, then whatever we're calling it, it isn't love. An aligned, loving presence protects a person's humanity. It creates more space for them. It doesn't take it away for the sake of a performance.
So I'll leave you with this one crucial question to reflect on. In our interactions, in our leadership, in our relationships, what are we actually creating? Is our presence just an attempt to prove a claim about who we are, or is it becoming the lived, felt experience of safety for the person right in front of us?